Hello, this is Lazeboard and welcome to today's video. Today we have Outrider news, guys. We have a brand new patch that's coming up with some really interesting updates. Number one, guys, we are getting a free legendary, which we will discuss how you'll be able to obtain that. Number two, guys, you will be also getting a reward back for those people who got their inventory wipes. In addition to that, there's going to be a rebalancing being worked, a few patches to multiplayer stability and connectivity, and of course, the connectivity problems that are currently occurring in the game as of right now. So if all of this sounds like something you're definitely interested, a like would be greatly appreciated. And let's go and talk about the patch notes coming into Outriders. So let's go ahead and start off with what I think would probably be your number one question. When are these patch notes going live? Well, these patch notes, guys, will be live next week. There is a short little patch or fix coming out today. But other than that, all of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today will be live to next week. All right, so one of the biggest updates that they're doing and fixing is fixing all the crashes that are happening when you're doing stuff in the game. For example, when you're trying to connect to multiplayer, when you're trying to complete a mission called the Bad Day, crashes that occur when you're looking at the menu, crashes that occur when you launch the game, random crashes. Basically, anything that's been crashing your game will theoretically be fixed with this patch. They said that if there is still problems with that, they will address it as quickly as they possibly can. So the majority of the patch is going to focus primarily on fixing crashes. Number two, guys, they are also going to be working on restoring and fixing all the inventory wipes that have been occurring throughout the game. As you guys know, this has been a big issue. Not only was it a problem in the demo, but it seems like it has resurfaced back again within the game. And some people have lost all their items and also have lost a few of, of items that they were having. Not completely all of them, but some of them. But some have lost all of them. Now, they say that they will be going ahead and fixing this in the coming weeks, and that they will update with confirmation time of when you could expect all your items to be stored back into your inventory. They say that they will also be restoring the most valuable tier of items, for example, epics and legendaries. So if you had a bunch of blues, I mean, don't expect a full restore on that one. Do expect your purples and legendaries to come back. So that's a really positive thing. In addition to that, they're saying that they're tracking down what's actually being able to cause this from occurring to avoid it from occurring any other time when the game is launched or, prior from now on. All right, so now let's talk about the nerfs and buffs. If we could say buffs, let's go ahead and talk about the first thing that's actually going to get nerfed is the Historian Bounty Hunt and Monster Hunt quest will no longer grant legendary items for each subsequent completion. They said, though, their intent was to reward every player completing it with legendaries, since the abuse of the multiplayer thing where you would get 10 legendaries every single time. They decided to remove it, even though they feel like they should still reward a couple players with some valuable rewards for their efforts. They decided to remove it because players were taking advantage of the exploit. People who took advantage of the exploit or are taking advantage of the exploit will not be punished. Can we get a hell yeah for that, guys? Now, they're also going to be nerfing a couple of enemies, like, for example, the Toka Beast, the Split Tooth, the Sand Shift, and the Cold Claw. These particular beasts are being too generous considering the required effort it takes to take them down. So they are going to reduce the amount of loot that actually drop from these particular beasts. So if you guys are farming, now is the time to take advantage before the patch goes live next week. Now they're also going to be nerfing some expeditions as well. So the expeditions that are getting nerfed are Chem Plant and Boomtown. They're actually decreasing the amount of time it takes to actually complete them. So I believe it was 7 minutes that it took to complete one and 12 for the other one. That's going to be brought down significantly. So you're going to have to do it a lot faster than you currently were before. They said a lot of people were exploiting Chem Plant and Boomtown, so now they're going to be ahead and reducing the time it takes to complete them for you to get that gold center. So time to get those builds back up and running. And they said some expeditions seem to be too generous in the required completion time when compared to others. They wanted to avoid the unbalancing and believe making all expeditions viable leads to a more diverse, those more interesting endgame instead of people just farming Chem Plant and Boomtown. Now to some weapon nerfs. Critical rate damage multiplier on tactical assault rifles has been reduced from 175% to 165%, so it's getting a 10% decrease. Critical rate damage multiplier on marksman rifle is being reduced from 300 all the way down to 250, Marksman rifles were with a 300 crit rate showed up to be dominating multiple crit builds. By making the modifier the same as the bolt action rifle, we want to offer players more options when choosing what gun to use when playing the game. Now you tricksters and you technomancers are going to be a little bit disappointed because there is going to be a nerf to your twisted rounds and blighted rounds. It seems like volcanic rounds are not being touched at the current moment, but those two twisted rounds and blighted rounds are. So this is exactly what they're saying. Late in the demo life cycle, we discovered a bug with regarding to the bullet augmentation ability damage calculation formula. While we fixed the bugs, such unforeseen imbalances were unfortunately introduced, and this led to the bullet-based abilities vastly outperforming other skills. So these are the adjustments they're deciding to make. The base cooldown of twisted round skills has been increased from 16 seconds to 25 seconds. While infinite uptime on bullet abilities was always our intent, it intended to be a high risk, high reward playstyle. However, given the current power of the skill, there's very little risk involving the ability giving a short cooldown, even when a player fails to trigger ammo replenishment. So for all of you guys doing the unlimited twisted round build, that seems to be taking a nerf. We'll see how that plays out in future builds. They're also going to be doing the Trickster's Hero Tree Nod, Disrupted Firepower, Scion on Power, and Outrider Executioner have had their power reduced from 50% to 35%. The combination of twisted rounds increased the firepower on top of the multiplier provided by the class tree led to a huge increase of damage dealt by this ability. While we do understand the satisfaction this kind of power can bring, it currently vastly outperforming our wildest expectations, and we therefore need to bring it down a notch. One that I'm a little bit disappointed on is this one, guys, which is going to be a little bit hard for, that's almost every single class. It says vulnerable status power reduced from 25% to 50%. This actually damages all the classes, and I know this is being introduced because of the Technomancer, but I feel like this is going to affect not only the Technomancer, but every single class. So I really wish they would probably reconsider this and keep it the way it is. And maybe just go ahead and nerf the problem that the Technomancer is having with vulnerability. Now onto the Technomancer. The Technomancer Hero Tree Nod damage against poison has had its power reduced from 30% all the way down to a half of 15%. While the Technomancer's blighted rounds do not provide any damage increase on their own, other than ignoring armor and anomaly damage, they do provide an excellent tool for spreading the vulnerable and toxin status, which in turn can scale out of proportion. So they decided to go ahead and nerf it to avoid people abusing it. Last but not least, guys, the Pyromancer Hero Tree Nod Trials of Ashes has been reduced from 30% down to 15% as well. Now to talk about that free legendary, guys, that is going to be part of a community appreciation pack that they are going to be dishing out pretty soon. They said after working on Outriders for more than 5 years, we are really disappointed with the launch weekend did not go as planned. We ran into a lot of connectivity issues, which they have explained earlier that they're going to be fixing. Throughout all of this, we really appreciate all your messages and support and encouragement, and they do help us power through and improve the situation. We would like to thank each and every one of you beyond just saying it. However, we would like to confirm that we are working on a small appreciation pack for our launch window players. We are still working through the exact details of it, but these are our intents as follows. All players who played between March 31st through April the 11th are eligible. Any player outside the above window, but for whom we will have performed an automatic inventory right restore, are also eligible. What they're going to be giving us is the following. Your highest level character will receive a level appropriate legendary weapon, a level appropriate amount of titanium, the emote Frustration, which is otherwise unobtainable at the current moment. The irony here was not intentional, but fitting. That is what the intents are as of right now, and this is a way of them saying thank you guys for supporting the game and sticking with us. So those are the only requirements to get that free legendary. These are the patch notes. I want to know from you guys though now, man. What do you guys think of the buffs? What do you guys think of the nerfs? I mean, there really wasn't that many buffs. There was mostly nerfs. If you're a Technomancer, Pyromancer, and also a Trickster, are you disappointed with the nerfs? And what would you like to see fixed or changed from the actual nerfs that we heard? Let me know all that information in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.